Okay, so it's got to be on that X. I suppose that right about now you would like to see an update on my Super Coop, wouldn't you? My little chicken coop. It's come a long way. I just had one pole sticking up out of the drainage area over here for about a year. That was the cornerstone. That was the beginning of the chicken coop. I joked with my friends that, yeah, I'm building a chicken coop. Don't you see that pole sticking out of the mud out there? All right, well, we've progressed a little bit. Now, what I've done is I've built this thing atypically for sure, but I built it out of some scrap, a lot of new material. The faces, I wanted to get a rustic look, and I was looking for things like, old building cedar and barn wood, anything like that, but that stuff has gone through the roof. It's so expensive. So in order to get that kind of rough sawn look, that rough lumber, the antique look, I went with pickets, fence pickets, and I've done this before. I built a pump house out of that, and then I pickled it, I stained it, and artistically aged it with different colors of paint, gray and blue and moss, and it just looked like an old building. But with these fence pickets, I can replicate that. Now you'll see a stained glass window there. That looks fancy, I know, but I didn't pay for that. It's more scrap that I had available in my barn, in my shed. That is from an old fireplace screen. Take a look at it. The things you put in front of your hearth so the embers don't pop out. It's really cool. It's a leaded stained glass piece. Now, if I were to buy that from an old church or something, that would cost me hundreds of dollars. But I've got two of them that are the side panels, and there was a centerpiece that is now broken. But that's what I'm using there, and I have a matching one that I can put over there. Now, right here, look at the roof system. This chicken coop basically cost me about $500 to construct, maybe a little more when you add hardware, etc. But in that range, which is really good for let's say it's an 8. I think I did 8 by 6. Yeah. So what you see over here is the beginning of the construction of a little greenhouse lean-to, just for little plant, a couple of shelves or little plant trays to keep them from being killed by the frost in spring, which is where we are right now. We keep having these frosts, which have killed some of my plantings. But this roof is really cool. I've never used this. I think it's like an asphalt kind of material. But it's very, very versatile, very easy to work with. Look, I got Charlie up there. I can't remember. Oh, I was in Asheville, and I went to one of those consignment shops and found that for a reasonable price. But this stuff cost me, I don't know, $25 a sheet or something like that. Very cool material. Made a good roof. I had an old doorknob that I picked up at a thrift shop. This is an old brass doorknob. And you've probably seen the inside of here. As I've said, look at those cathedral ceilings. Love the open floor plan, etc. This is greenhouse material that I had picked up a while back, so that was a scrap that's been sitting around forever. Didn't stud the walls. I did this because I did this horizontal thing because I wanted to try that. I've never done that, and that's not really a good idea, but it works for this because I'm going to put these chicken boxes down in there, and I'm going to continue framing it out. But look at that wire floor. I'm going to double that up because I've had a good 100 chickens killed over the years. I had, on my little farm, I had chickens and ducks and and quail batteries, and I hatched and raised all kinds of birds, emus, etc. And lots of death, lots of everything that eats chicken ate my chickens: coons, possum, hawks, fox, neighbors' dogs, etc. I've talked about that. So this is an attempt to taking from what I've learned in the past to create a new kind of chicken house. And there's my little door. Those doors work quite well. You see the little automatic, door with it. It's got a photo sensor. That's going to go in the back corner back here, and I'll show you why. And by the way, the wire floor is for cleanliness, just so the poop. If you've ever had a solid floor on a chicken coop, the poop is tremendous. They are prolific poopers, and it's a mess, and it can cause disease if you're in there mucking it out. I just don't like that. They can have heat lamps in here. I can cover the floor in the winter if it's extremely cold. They're going to have roosts up here, and they'll be fine. Like I say, I can cover that up if I want to. And by the way, I have dubbed this Le Maison de Poulet. It's the fancy name I came up with for chicken house. When I was a young man, I worked in the Maison de Ville in New Orleans. I was the fix-it man, the handyman. So I thought that was funny. Le Maison de Poulet, if I'm saying that correctly. House of the chicken. So let's take a quick look at the brooder system. I'll do another video on that, but let's take a look at that over here. Now this, my friends, is my brooding system. This is all from scrap. I had a rolling cart, and I thought, what am I going to do with this nice heavy-duty aluminum cart? And then it came time to build a brooder, and I said, man, this is perfect for my brooder. And so again, I used some scraps, some old signboards, some of that acrylic greenhouse material I had as scraps. This is a cage door from a van. It just happened to have, holes in it for me to put my heat lamp on. Now, in here there is additionally one of those heaters that the chicks can walk under. Yes, it looks messy. These things are messy. That's a heater. I bought that on eBay or something. And a little feeder. We're going to be getting some of these or all of these outside soon. But I wanted to show you, I've got a tray under there. I don't put too much food in the feeder. I feed them more regularly, and I don't fill it up. Here's why, because they knock the feed out. Look at this tray. I made this tray out of some 1x strips and some insulation material. And I pull that out and clean it off, and it's a relatively clean system. I know it's going to drive some people crazy that I have chicks inside of the house, but keeping them alive, people. We move them around. I have them outside sometimes. That's the beauty of a wheel cart. Now look at this thing that I pieced together. Let's see if you can see it. See that? Okay, you see that little drinker down there? You clean that out with this. Buy one of these at a dollar store, baster, and you can suck that. Anything that goes in there from their beaks, you can suck it right out and dispose of it. And I have a 2-gallon container, I believe, here. And I have some hose that goes to the drinker. And I just tapped into the bucket there, and I can run a gallon at a time. Let me show you what kind of drinker I'm talking about. These, now I used to have float tank trays and drinker cups like this, but this is the new kind. I highly recommend these because what happens is they've got a valve in here, and it's high up in here, high enough so that the sediment down at the bottom of the drinker does not clog your valve. You don't want those little things that have the valve trigger sticking down in here that the presumably hit with their beaks and open the valve to let water in. Those are always overflowing and always getting clogged up in the valve and leaking, and they're just ridiculous. They'll rust and rot your cages out. Why get those when you can get these more advanced ones? What happens is they fill half full of water, and that shuts that valve in there. See that? As soon as that fills halfway with water, as is evidenced right here. Are the chicks drinking? Are they drinking? Yeah, one of them was just drinking. You just put it at the right height. See? Put it at the proper height so that it doesn't hit the bottom of the cage. Again, I like wire floors. In this brooder, I put paper towels down under the heater. It's always a mess. It's always going to be a mess. People think wire or shavings, pine shavings are so humane and comfortable, but that just has your chickens sitting in poop, you know, and that's not really healthy either. So this is a finer mesh chicken wire floor, and again they have paper towels for comfort to sit on and lay on. So this is a fantastic way of watering your chickens, your baby chicks. You don't have to fill this but every few days, if that. And I take my wife's working out over there. I take my coffee grinder and I grind up the feed, because they give you this. Look how big that chick feed is. Chicks can't eat that. New baby chicks cannot eat that stuff. You got to grind it up, or you've got to find a good brand of small crumbles that they can actually eat. Look at that. Perfect system. What can I tell you? From years of trial and error, I know it's preferable to have a kind of a hutch where you can open a door and put your hands in and load chicks in, load chicks out. But this is easy for me. Go for it, Jen. Kill those zombies. This is her new workout deal. Let me also tell you this. These can be run in circuit. You see these little attachments, a 1/2-inch PVC that goes straight to the valve. They're threaded in here, and you just hook them right up. You can use little tape. It's not going to be high pressure, so they won't leak, and they're going to be outdoors. You can have, 5 or 6 of these, however many you want, outside of your coop or in your chicken run or wherever you want to quench your chickens. Again, the beauty of these is they fill halfway up and they stop. And you don't want to attach these, if you do these outside, you don't want to attach them to regular plumbing, your regular water supply, because that's too much pressure for this little valve. So what you want to do is just have a pressure regulator in line before the water gets to these valves, so that you're not going over whatever it is, 3 psi that these can handle. Okay, so something else you can do is use a float valve for a toilet. Get a little tank, a big bucket or a tank, and put a float valve in there, and then from that tank feed your line of chicken waters. Does that make sense? I'll make a video. I'm going to do that on the chicken house, and I'll make a video for you. Another important thing, let me tell you about this chick feeder. This is a starter. You can get start, grow, whatever you want. And these feeds, you want to get a feed that has something that kills coccidiosis, which is something that gets in the chicken's intestinal tract, and it'll kill them. They'll bleed out of their anus and die very, very quickly, within hours, 48 hours or something like that. And they pick it up. If you've got it on your property, you can't really get rid of it, and the chicks will always get it. So you protect them with medicated feed, or you add a medication to their water. Don't do both. There are all kinds of things to address coccidiosis, but don't do multiple meds and kill your chicks that way. This, I think, has amprolium in it or something like that, and that works just fine. So what I've done over here is I've created a chicken run that goes off along the perimeter, the side of my property, right? So I'm not wasting yard space out here. And I was going to bring this chicken run right to the wall here and have my automatic door down here and then just run them out that way. But that impedes my access to the side of the coop. So instead of that, I've created this ramp system. It goes out over the drainage area, and it's going to be a tunnel. It'll be covered with wire, and that will provide access to the run for them. This is all going to be rocked. It's rocked on that side, and it'll be rocked on this side. Or I'll bury treated lumber, something to keep because these animals will dig in to the run. Not so much during the day, but I'm going to do this anyway. They're not going to be out here at night, so in daytime they'll be completely protected, is my hope. Because, like I say, fox and possum aren't going to come out in the day and dig this up. At nighttime they'll be tucked away. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. And I'm getting close to where I can bring the chicks out here with a brooder light and set them up and get them out of the house. What else? So I'm going to build I've ordered some avian netting. This gets covered with wire. Everything has to be covered on all sides because A, your chickens can jump right out of that and get killed. And B, hawks, no matter how high you have it, the hawks can always go down in it and get your chicken. So one thing that I've done is ordered some avian netting, right? Some bird netting. And I'm thinking of having a kennel out here, a kennel that I can drag around the yard up to, say, 10 by 10, which is pretty spacious. And what I'll do is I'll bring that close to the coop, you know, in theory, have a gate on both sides, and then use netting to connect really strong knotted netting. It's a special kind of netting, not that cheap stuff you put over blueberry bushes and such, but rather like cage netting, like batting cage or golf. You know, when you go to those courses where you're driving ranges and they have the netting, that kind of netting, really strong, 1 inch or 2 inch. And so I'll connect I'll have some posts set out away, maybe 5 or 6 feet away from the coop, and have all that netted over and on the sides, and then draw the kennel up to it, open the gate and funnel them into the kennel, close the gate, and then I can drag the kennel around the yard this way. Those are just ideas. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. That will ruin the aesthetics of it, but who cares? You know, it's just vultures. No. We don't have dead chickens here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to check the description below for links and other information. Be well.